Gnomer again is probably going to be more and more accessible as players are hitting 40, and now that their lockout is no longer a week. It's going to be resetting every 3 days now, and you're going to want to be prepared before you go in. But what do you need, and what should you be bringing? My name's Coyote. Let's get to it.
Stupid Coyote.
I've got to raid Gnomer again a couple times, yet to kill the final boss working with guildies, and kind of just taking my own raid, but from all the different guides out there, there's several things that they're telling you and some things that they're not telling you about what you should be bringing going in here. Now, it's going to differ a little bit from whether you're Horde or Alliance, so a lot of this perspective will be from the Alliance side, but I do have some friendly tips for the Horde. First off, let's get into consumables. Your first major consumable, and I would recommend actually having several of these on you as you go through, because there's several bosses that do nature damage, is the Nature Protection Potion. Having these around is going to be vital to some of your survival. The first boss alone actually has a need to want to pre-pot and then maybe even pot later into it, depending upon the strength of your raid group. There are bosses, like I said, that just do nature damage throughout the line, so having extra ones of these is going to be pivotal. Just when you thought you saw the last of the free action potion from Black Fathom Deeps, well, guess what? It's still here, and you're going to need to have several of these on hand as well. Unless you're a druid, a priest, or a gnome, any class or race that has a movement freeing ability will not need these. These are for the final boss. There is a phase where there is a stacking movement debuff, and you're going to want to be able to clear these to keep his damage from going up. So expect to be buying quite a bit of these. Or if you're an alchemist, you could be making both of these potions and making some bank right now. They're going to probably be needed all throughout the phase. Next, for the min-maxers, you're going to want to go check out your class discords, your class guides. They're going to tell you what potions and elixirs you're going to want to have. Now, for elixirs, casters, we finally have one that we can actually use outside the firepower elixir. This one is the Lesser Arcane Elixir. You're going to need to be revered and an alchemist to make this plan with Azeroth Commerce Society or the Duratar Logistics faction. Whatever your side is, that's going to be the one you're going to need. As for melee DPS, you're going to want to make sure you check your guys. I can't speak right now for that because I'm not playing my druid in this phase right now. I'm actually playing my mage. If you're an alchemist, you're going to want to find this plan right here, the Mildly Irradiated Rejuvenation Potion. It provides a nice little buff and gives our alchemist a little bit of love that they've duly needed as a profession crafter. The final thing you're going to want to do is check your best in slot guides. Make sure you're coming with the right gear. Don't be a goober and just show up with greens that you've had since level 20. Double check your enchants. Maybe you got a guild enchanter, or maybe you know somebody who you can kind of get some cheap enchants off of. Go in with something, all right? It's going to help you out, and it'll make your raid more successful. Next, let's talk the world buff, all right? You're going to be wanting to have the Spark of Inspiration. Now, it's said that it happens only in Ironforge or Orgrimmar, but due to my experience, I have found that not to be true. I've gotten it in Stormwind. I've even had it on a starting character in one of the starting zones that wasn't done Murrow. So, expect it to come from anywhere, but it's a safe bet if you camp out and know that either Ironforge or Orgrimmar, you can still get this buff. This is going to be a must-have for your casters. It's going to be a 4% increase to their casting speed as long as 42 damage to both healing and damage. Now, for our melee, it's going to be an increase to attack speed. This also goes for hunters in the form of 10%. So you're going to be expected to have it. So prepare to camp out wherever you can to get this buff. Next, let's talk quest. All right, if you're the Alliance, you're going to want to start off by grabbing all the quests. There are some right here in Ironforge. This is where most of you are going to start. There's one in Stormwind. I'm going to show you where that is, as well as one in Dunmorrow. Now, two of these quests need to be started and kind of somewhat completed outside before you can move on to the inside. And there's one that's completely outside if you're Alliance, and that'll be TechBot's Brain. The other quest that you're going to want to start on the outside of the instance is the punch card quest for the Alliance. Make sure you get the white punch card to start with, and you got to go over to where TechBot is. There are little machines you're going to have to hit out there. Once you get the first punch of that punch card, you can go inside and finish the rest there. I have a full link to all the quests that are going to be available in the description below. If you're Alliance and you were ready to start some of the outside quests, make sure you grab this one from Keranos. This one can be completed outside the raid, and it's recommended that you do so before you go in, because there's a second part that needs you to hit a mob, get a certain mob inside the raid. It's right here in Keranos. It's by these two lovely gnomes on this little alcove right here. And finally, our last Alliance only quest is Shoni the Silent. She'll have one for you right here in the Dwarven District. For my Horde only friends, you have one outside quest you're going to want to grab. It's from Nog. He's in the Valley of Honor right here. It's very easy to miss. Don't forget to grab it on your way into Gnomer. There are several quests that you're going to be able to grab while you're on the inside as well. One of them is the Escort quest, A Fine Mess. So make sure if somebody starts it, everybody will be able to get it, but you have to actually escort him all the way out, or you're going to fail it. It's going to be there until somebody wants to actually do it. You have your Grime Encrusted Ring quest, which is usually a drop, and it's going to lead up to a follow-up quest according to your city. It'll either end in Orgrimmar or Ironforge, depending upon your faction. And the Sparklematic 52,000, which is pretty much just a quick little quest right there on the inside of the instance that gives you a little box for the Grime Encrusted objects. Finally, you have the Mad King. This is the end-all quest for the entire raid. Both Horde and Alliance will have it. But this isn't the final quest you're going to want to need, because you're going to want to do the Crafting Chain quest. And I have some tips for you on what you're going to want to bring for that. The final quest you're going to have is the Epic Crafting Quest. All right, now this one is super important. You can actually finish this in one lockout, but you're going to want to bring certain items in there with you. The Salvagematic quest starts on the inside of the raid. Here's what you're going to need, though, before you go in. You're going to need 10 Mithril Bars, and you're going to need 5 Greater Mystic Essences. Right now, the Greater Mystic Essences are in high demand because it is a needed quest if you're going to do these. Everything else you're going to get in the raid. The next part is the GG12-082 cartridges. Now, these are dropped by mechanical bosses. I saw a 100% drop from all the mechanical bosses, and I think one of our raid members actually picked one up from one of the machine mobs. According to Wowhead, they are dropped by just any kind of mechanical one, but like I said, it is a for sure thing from some of the mechanical bosses. The final piece is a quest chain that you're going to have to do. It's a little bit of a hectic to get it done, but if you got the time, you might as well knock it out. It is getting the pristine G7 core processor. You got to go back out and kill TechBot, all right? He'll drop an item, and that quest chain will take you throughout a little bit of the world. Once you complete it, you'll have all that spot, and you'll be able to turn in and start your crafting quest. Hopefully you found this helpful. Maybe you forgot about grabbing the quest. Maybe you didn't know about a potion being there that will help your raid out be more successful. If you did find any help out of this guide, do me a favor and like the video. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and drop a comment if I forgot something. Maybe there was a piece that I missed. I'd love to hear from you. My name's Coyote. As always, happy adventures. Stupid Coyote.